Congratulations on hitting $100,000 today. The bears have been wrecked. The bears have been sidelined, and just does not get more bullish than this. We are above all key support levels. There is zero bearish about this chart. We have this global M2 line that has not stopped. It has just gone vertical, and this is historical data pushed forward. So it's already happened, and Bitcoin, like some kind of prophecy, is playing out the moves of this global liquidity that is finding its way into risk assets. Hey guys, my name is Colin, and this is Colin Talks Crypto. I wanted to bring you an update on Bitcoin and just take a look at where we stand, because things have been pretty much playing out exactly according to plan. It's really been amazing to see. The recent price action here for Bitcoin following this global M2 line is like glue. I mean, there's no other way to put it. This is following in the recent history just so tightly. And, you know, it's not always going to be that way. I really want to make it clear that there's going to be a 20% non-correlated period from time to time. Like here, it's not perfect, right? But 80% of the time, it's going to be pretty dang close. And so that's what we've been seeing for really the past 30 days. This period here to here is the last 30 days. And we're really only about a quarter of the way through this move. This global M2 move is not over yet. So to me, this is just super exciting. I'm really looking forward to this move right here, this very, very steep, and this move right here, this very, very steep move up in the global M2 money supply. And just as a quick recap and a reminder, this global M2 line is the global aggregate of money supplies from countries around the world, and Bitcoin is a global asset. And this line is real data. This global M2 line is true data. It's not made up data. Even though it's in the future because we pushed it forward. It's not actually future data. This data has already happened. All this data is 100% legit data that's already happened. And we just pushed the yellow line forward by, in this case, 81 days, so that it lines up with the Bitcoin price, because much like gold, Bitcoin follows the global M2 money supply. So right now, as of today, we just saw Bitcoin hit $100,000. Like it just touched it, it tapped it, and just does not get more bullish than this. I think a lot of people are going to be sidelined, and that's the nature of a sideways move like this over such a long duration. Is it puts pessimism and depression into the sentiment, and people just think it's over. And then it's happened for so long that even when Bitcoin pops out, these two green arrows are key moves. Even when that happens, the sentiment is so bad that it's like everyone's asleep like a zombie, or so depressed that they can't even face the fact that Bitcoin actually is incredibly bullish. And they're still stuck in this mindset down here where it was just very, very pessimistic. But the fact of the matter is if you wake up and you snap your fingers in front of your face, look at the chart right now, it's incredibly bullish. This is like amazing. We are above all key support levels. I want to reiterate that. We are above all key support levels. There is zero bearish about this chart. So anyone who is not really optimistic right now is exactly a byproduct of the psychology of a market that has bled sideways for months and months and months. I mean, really, since like December of last year till just recently, till April, like a month ago, that 5-month period was a sideways / bleeding depression period. And so that has kicked everybody who was a doubter or not firmly convicted off into the sidelines. And now, like, I know some people who sold and they were adamant that the top was in, and they told me, and they sold, and they were just adamant about their decision. And that's fine, but they're likely going to be chasing the price back higher, buying in, FOMOing in, and missing the gains that occurred from where they sold to where they finally realized that, holy shit, the market's still going up. The top isn't in. And that'll become more evident as we reach new all-time highs, which I firmly feel is happening because we have this global M2 line that has not stopped. It has just gone vertical, and this is historical data pushed forward. So it's already happened, and Bitcoin, like some kind of prophecy, is playing out the moves of this global liquidity that is finding its way into risk assets. The stock market is also correlated to this, so I would expect the stock market to be climbing. It's not quite as tightly correlated as Bitcoin, which is why I like to show the Bitcoin chart, and this is a cryptocurrency channel, but you should expect to see stocks move up as well. And I would imagine we'll see all-time highs for stocks also in the near, not so distant future. And just as some other points of interest, we have the Bitcoin ETF flow money. And on the right side here, this is every day. Every row is another day. Here's $1 billion into Bitcoin, $1 billion into Bitcoin, $500 million into Bitcoin, $1/3 billion into Bitcoin, 600 million into Bitcoin, etc. Moving on down the list till today. So most of the days we have seen like at least $500 million inflow into the Bitcoin asset class, which is incredible. And that's explaining why the price has been moving vertical for the past month. The bottom was in as of April 8th. Hate to tell you bears, but the bottom was in April 8th. And right now, 30 days later, we're only 25% in to this giant move up with a very, very strong correlation. If you look at the correlation table here, I'm currently showing the 81-day offset, which I feel is best representative of the recent history. As I showed in my chart here, I made this little table just to compare the different correlation offsets. And I just wanted to show, and I made a video on this, how the offset does change between a range of about 70 days to 110 days, but it stays within that range fairly well. And you can see that right now, I've highlighted the 30 days and the 60 days are the strongest with the 81-day offset. When you push that global M2 chart forward by 81 days, that gives us the strongest correlation to Bitcoin over the last 60 days and the last 30 days. But if you go beyond that, then it's actually more like a 108-day offset. And then you go beyond that, it's like a year and a half, and et cetera. It shifts back and forth. So that's why I'm being nimble. I'm not making too big of an emphasis on what the offset is. As long as it's within that range, that's fine. That's part of the game. That's part of the variable nature of the liquidity that's global, and the money is kind of flowing through and finding the on-ramps. And some countries have more liquidity, some have less, some have better on-ramps, some have blocked Bitcoin access perhaps. And all of that aggregate equals this variable offset that changes. But when you step back and look at the big picture, then you see that it's following very closely. And I would say that, just to reiterate, some of you guys really want to break this down. I saw one guy say, hey, I want 15-minute candles. Hey, we can figure out how to get this down to 15-minute no, that is completely the opposite purpose or use of this. And I think you'd get wrecked. I think you'd get wrecked on such small time frames. The global M2 money supply is a macro indicator. This is a macro indicator. This is not a hour candle, 4-hour candle, 12-hour candle, or even necessarily a day candle indicator. In some cases, it does follow day to day. Like right now, we've been getting pretty lucky for the last 30 and 60 days, but that's not always the case. And some days you'll just be completely wrong. But that's only on an hour or day-to-day basis. That's not on the macro picture. You zoom way out here, and right now we're looking at over like a year or a year and a half of data, and that's where the pattern becomes evident. And so I would really personally strongly recommend against trying to day trade with this chart. This is not the kind of chart you're trying to use for day trading signals or intraday trades. I just would not recommend that. I think this is good for the multiple weeks on up timeframes, month timeframes, week timeframes, that kind of thing. It gives you a directional clue as to what Bitcoin is looking to do in the future, keeping in mind that there's going to be a 20% chance that there will be a non-correlated period as well. Here's another point I want to cover is the scaling of this chart. People seem to think that the scale here is indicating that the Bitcoin price is going to reach these price targets, like $170,000. I'm not saying it won't hit that, but this is the y-axis for the Bitcoin price line. See, if I move the chart like this, it's moving just the orange line. See, I can scale it however high I want. This is how some people have made the M2 chart appear to show a $400,000 price, because you just slide this Bitcoin price scale around and you can make this show whatever you want, but it's only moving and reflecting the Bitcoin price line. So what I've done is I've done to my absolute best and most honest, I'm trying to not be biased, lining up the orange line and the yellow line, the M2 line and the Bitcoin line over a long period of time, over a year and a half of data. And with that, I think that we have as accurate of a y-axis prediction as we can get for Bitcoin. It's not really intended to be that. This is the axis for the M2 line over here in trillions or quadrillions of dollars. You see, we can move them separately. I've usually chopped off this right portion here just because it gets really noisy. But if the Bitcoin line does adhere to the global M2 line, it is quite possible. I'm not saying it's a guarantee by any stretch of the imagination, but it's possible that Bitcoin will hit $170,000. It's crazy to say that, but it is not outside the realm of possibility. I'm here enjoying the show as much as you guys are. Congratulations on hitting $100,000 today. The bears have been wrecked. The bears have been sidelined. Let's continue riding this massive global M2 money injection as it flows its way right into Bitcoin. Have a great day, guys.